Hi guys, this is Vitaly with AFT Dispatch and A2C Logistics, and in today's video I wanted to speak with you about the future of clean trucks. But first, roll the intro. Welcome back. Before we get started, I'd like to ask you to please like the video, be sure you subscribe to the channel, and hit the notification bell so you never miss a single release of our videos, where every Friday we're talking about something that could benefit you in your trucking businesses, in your trucking careers, as well as cover the loads we've successfully booked for our customers, consisting of leased owner operators and carriers, operating under their own MC authorities, running under our truck dispatch services. As always, guys, big thank you for all the likes you've provided in all the previous videos. Please do keep them coming, and let's talk about the future of clean vehicles, or as the EPA would like us to believe. Now, currently we have a lot of changes coming down the pipeline in terms of the changes coming in terms of pollution. And we'll talk about pollution and pollution levels and the emissions and things like that throughout this video. But what's interesting is that recently there was a very big, very important meeting. The U.S. The Senate on Environment and Public Works Subcommittee met, and they were talking about the future of clean vehicles, which includes semi-trucks, and about implementing certain rules and regulations that will go into effect in the near term or in the near future that I promise you will affect all truckers. All right, so if you plan to be a trucker over the next 10 plus years, then definitely listen up. It may not affect you as much if you're looking to retire over the next year or two. But here's the thing, they're talking about the future of clean vehicles, and the EPA has been making all sorts of rulings. You know, generally speaking, when California sets a rule, it sets a precedent, then that moves on to other states. That grip tends to expand, and then it goes into a national ruling and goes from there. That's what we saw with, DEF requirements. That's what we saw with DPF requirements. That's what we saw with hours of service, HOS requirements, and other, ELD requirements, things like that, right? So right now, the EPA basically made California the king of all things clean trucking, and they're pushing new rules, including the zero-emission rules on the semi-truck market. Now, the problem is that California and a few other states, as mentioned, as the process always happens, has come together, and currently they hold about 22% sway on the current truck market that's out there, the national truck market. And what this means is that over a fifth of the market is under their say. As these rules start to expand and other states start to say that they agree with this as well on a state level, then they begin to hold more power and more have more influence over what actually ends up happening. So right now they're looking at the Advanced Clean Trucks rule that basically requires that 40% of the manufactured trucks by 2035 be zero emission trucks. That's a very large number. 40% of manufactured trucks have to be zero emission, right? Not low emission like we have right now by 2035, which is not that far away. So basically that's the timeline that we're looking at. Now, the trucking companies out there have already tried to implement some of these rules on their own time, and they said, okay, yeah, you guys wanted to do this. We're all game. Let's do this. And so what we saw is that a trucking company out in Joliet, Illinois, tried to electrify 30 of their trucks, and they got shut down by the city itself because they said, hey guys, you're going to draw more energy than is actually needed for the entire city. So no way, Jose, on that rule. So that doesn't make much sense. Now, there was also one in California, which is really ironic because this is mainly coming from California. There was a California company recently that tried to electrify 12 of their forklifts. Mind you, it's not semi-trucks, not trailers, not reefer units, but they were trying to do just simply 12 forklifts, and they got also shut down by the city power company, saying that the electrical infrastructure simply isn't there, wouldn't be able to handle it, so they couldn't even do that. And ultimately, that's one thing that they did say correctly. The electrical infrastructure is not there. Nationwide, nationally, we are not there. The battery capacitance, take my word for it, we are not there. The construction, the environmental damage done during the process of building these batteries is above and beyond anything that semi-trucks nowadays do, even the manufacturing process or the pollution, the particulate matter that comes out of the tailpipes, right, or the exhaust pipes. Now, so in either case, we're not there. It's also cost prohibitive, right? And I'm going to be super generous with the numbers, saying that a semi-truck's, let's say $200,000, you go out and you pay $200,000, and then, the cost of an electric truck would be at least $400,000. I mean, it'd probably be higher than that in many cases, closer to $500,000 for one truck. So even double the cost there. So it's cost prohibitive. And what I really thought was interesting is that 97% or over 97% of trucking companies actually run less than 20 trucks. All right. So the vast majority of the trucking industry runs less than 20 trucks. So I dug a little deeper. 91.5% of carriers out there operate 6 trucks or less. All right. Those of you who talk to me on the phone, this is the reason why you actually end up switching over to being considered a medium-sized company once your fleet reaches above 6 trucks. But basically, that's kind of where the pivot point comes in. So over 90% of the industry is that small. And so how is that going to affect those small carriers? How are they supposed to double down on their pricing? How are they supposed to get, what kind of loans are they going to have to carry on themselves when their fixed costs double suddenly, right? And here's the other thing that I thought was very, very interesting. An electric semi-truck requires basically 2 of those ginormous batteries. Now, those batteries, each one's 8,000 pounds. So 16,000 pounds of batteries, which basically would reduce and lower the legal payload, right, that the trucks could carry, considering we have our very, very strict mandated on-road requirements of being no more than 80,000 pounds in total gross weight, which means that this would require even more trucks on the road, which would actually increase traffic and the very problems that we're trying to eliminate, like risk and accidents and things like that are on the road. So we're trying to help, but it looks more like hindering. Now, also considering today's raw material production, and what we're talking about is like lithium, cobalt, nickel, stuff like that, that's required. And that's just some of the things some of the minerals are required to be mined in order to produce just batteries on these semi-trucks and these electric trucks. It would actually take over 35 years to source the rare minerals needed for production. So again, where are we? Like, we're moving towards a future that is an impossibility at this time. To say that we're going to come up with solutions in the future when we get there, we'll figure it out when we get there, is just really, really unproductive, because we could really find ourselves hurting ourselves, and maybe that's the goal. But what does this do ultimately to the environment and the foreign child labor that is so heavily used out there, the sourcing of these rare minerals? It's all child labor, and a lot of it is. And what's interesting is that we're not even looking at what we're actually chasing after, because today's clean trucks, which is the majority of the trucks that you and I are running, 2000 plus model year, they produce 99% lower emissions than 1980s trucks. Let me repeat that. They produce 99% lower emissions than 1980s trucks. And so as a point, the ratio is 60-1. So it would take 60 trucks of today to equal one of those that just produced those incredible amounts of pollution back in the 80s. In fact, one from 1988, so close even to the 1990s, we're looking at a 60-1 ratio on that one up to 1988. So what are we actually trying to replace? What are we trying to fix? What are we trying to destroy? Would love to hear all your comments, ideas, thoughts, and basically how you guys feel about this in a comment section below. For now, I'm going to switch over to camera. We're going to look over the loads that we book for our customers, but definitely love to hear from you guys, because I personally think this is a very, very interesting piece. So anyway, see you in just a moment. Welcome back. Let's take a look at some of these loads. Today's going to be vans and reefers. Some did very, very impressively. In many cases, it looks like things are improving, but I'm not going to actually say that just yet. We're going to hold my breath on this one. Let's start off with a reefer coming out of Holcomb, Kansas, going to Alpena, South Dakota, 42,000 pound load of refrigerated goods, booked at 1850, 553 miles, booked at 335 a mile. Is an excellent job in my book. What's more impressive is that at a Lake Norton, South Dakota, going to Carthage, Missouri, the guys managed to book a 42,000 pound load of foodstuffs, running -1 on the reefer. 595 mile run, booked out of there for $1,900, got them 319 a mile. Very, very impressive. In a 335, out at 319. Very, very impressive. Then, no less impressive, the no-show Missouri to Mexico, Missouri, local run, 43,000 pound load of sugar, 259 miles, booked at $800, got them 309 a mile, and absolutely killed it out of Olathe, Kansas, going to Ankeny, Iowa, with a 43,000 pound load of dry groceries, 225 miles, booked at $650, got them 289 per mile on that one. So absolutely wonderful, wonderful week. 7 days on the road, Friday to Friday, grossed $5,200, ran barely 1,632 loaded miles at an average of 319 per loaded mile average. This is a wonderful way of doing things, because you're ultimately, what you're doing is you're saving on fuel. Your liability is less. You're barely running any miles. You're very, very efficient, and great rate. So a lot more money will actually stay in your pocket. Yeah, you might gross less, but you're certainly netting more. Next is going to be a dry van coming out of Tipton, Indiana, going to Marengo, Iowa, with a 42,000 pound load of Corteva seed product, which is 406 miles, booked at $950, got them 234 a mile. This is a solo dry van. Then Cedar Rapids, Iowa, going out to Hazel Township, Pennsylvania, with a 44,000 pound load of paper rolls. That's a 901 mile run, booked at $22.50, got him $2.50 a mile. Then Mountaintop, Pennsylvania, going to Evansburg, Pennsylvania, another local run, 45,000 pound load of finished product, 188 miles, booked at $615, got him $3.27 a mile. And it finished up with Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania, going to Commerce City, Colorado, with a 43,000 pound load of palletized coils, and that's a 1,441 mile run, booked at looks like $3,000, got him $208 a mile. So excellent job there. And they did great also. 7 days, week on the road, Monday to Monday, $6,815 gross. Ran 2,936 loaded miles at an average of 232 per loaded mile average. So an excellent job there. Regular solo drive in. The next one's going to be a reefer coming out of Gulfport, Mississippi, going to Forest Park, Georgia, with looks like a load of plantains, 42,000 pounds, as well as other produce. 50 degrees on a reefer. 395 mile run, $1,200 booked, got him $304 per mile there. Next, McDonough, Georgia, with a multi-dropper to Independence, Kentucky, and Florence, Kentucky, with a 40,000 pound load of dairy product, 35 degrees on a reefer, 543 miles booked at $1,600, got him $295 a mile there. Then Rushville, Indiana, Normal, Illinois, another, I would say, local regional run, 44,000 pound load of seeds. This is a dry load. Reefer stayed off on this one with 223 miles booked at $600, got him $269 a mile, and they finished off of Crete, Illinois, going to South Bay, Florida, with a 42,000 pound load of sugar for 1,243 miles. I'm sure this was a dry load. $2,820 booked, got him $227 a mile, going to South Bay. That's a reefer, Friday to Friday, 7 days, $6,220 booked, gross, running 2,404 loaded miles at an average of $259 per loaded mile average. So great job there. Next is so that was a reefer. Next is a dry van coming out of Hanover, Pennsylvania. Totally different setup, longer runs. A 1-pig, 2-dropper to Hazelwood, Missouri, and Minot, North Dakota. Interesting run, very light, 10,000 pounds of snack chips, 1,860 miles, booked at $36.50, got him $1.96 a mile, coming out to North Dakota. Now here's the kicker. Out of North Dakota, Carrington, North Dakota, took a load to McDonough, Georgia, an 11,000 pound load of snack chips again, 1,512 miles, booked at $3,200, got him $212 a mile, which finished off the week, 7 days on the road, and they ended up grossing $68.50, running very light loads, long runs, 3,372 miles in total, and got all of that an average of 203 per loaded mile average, which is an excellent job on that one. Very light, another way of doing things. Great rate, lowers your operating costs. Fuel is going to be your biggest cost, right? So you're lowering that effectively. You're increasing your net income, and that's what you want to do at any time in the business. But that's the biggest driver of staying in business during tough market conditions that we're experiencing right now. So very well done. Next, we got ourselves another dry van coming out of Union, South Carolina, going to Auburn Hills, Michigan, with a 1,000 pound light load of racks and stands. 723 miles booked at $1,260, got him $1.74 coming out to Michigan. And then out of Westland, Michigan to Detroit Lakes, Minnesota, took a 13,000 pound load of compounds, 870 miles, booked at $1,800, got him $207 a mile. And then Fargo, North Dakota to Montgomery, Alabama, longer run, of course, 42,000 pound load of dry groceries, 1,381 miles, booked at $3,000, got him $217 per mile there. Again, 7 days on the road, Monday to Monday, gross $6,060 on their 2,974 loaded miles at an average of $204 per loaded mile average. Obviously, the market's taken a beating, lower rates than we've had, but still a very good job. The last one's going to be another dry van coming out of Wyoming. Colony, Wyoming, going to Greensboro, North Carolina, with a 42,000 pound load of refractories. Not sure what that is. Probably some sort of manufacturing good, I imagine. 1,718 miles, booked at $3,300, got him $1.92 on that one. Then Greensboro, North Carolina, with going to Owatonna, Michigan, with a 30,000 pound load of Biscoff cookies. Now these ones I know, but one of the reasons I enjoy flying so much, you get the cookies, right? So 1,121 miles, booked at $2,200, got him $1.96, and it finished off with right out of Owatonna, Minnesota, going to Kansas City, Missouri. 42,000 pound load of food, 374 miles, booked at $825, got them $221 a mile, getting them to an average of $1.97 on their 3,213 miles, booked at $63.25 for the week of Friday to Friday, 7 days on the road. An excellent job, coming up just under $3 a mile on the dot. Guys, as you can see, there is money to be made in the market. We still manage to get money out of this market and help you guys out. You know, the biggest secret is that you need to outrun your fixed costs. Once you're able to outrun your fixed costs, the variable costs will take care of themselves as you begin to accrue miles at a decent enough rate where you don't actually have to go kill yourself out there, but you're going to be able to keep your head above water and walk away with a small profit. Nothing, you know, stupendous, nothing amazing. And in many cases, you can come up with some really decent money. It just depends how you run. These customers that we just mentioned, they're definitely making decent money. And if your operating costs are lower, you'll definitely keep more of it. And all we're saying is that let us help you to get through these difficult times. And it doesn't matter if you're a carrier, you have your own MC authority, as long as you meet some of the requirements, you have equipment willingness to go and work and make this kind of money, or you're a leased on owner operator. You know, maybe you're a great driver and everything's fantastic, got your equipment, but the company you're working with is maybe costing you a little too much. Maybe they're not making the kind of money that you're seeing in our videos. Maybe there's less flexibility, whatever it may be. Maybe you're just not getting enough miles to make it worthwhile, just like we talked about it earlier. In either scenario, give us a call or text us. Number's 801-448-6363. You can also get more information on our website at aftdispatch.com, and then just fill out if you're a carrier or an owner operator. We'll get back to you. We'll answer all your questions. Go through our videos, take a look, and don't get complacent. There are still ways to get out of these situations to make sure you're still staying in business, making money. There are solutions to today's problem. So get in touch with us, 801-448-6363, or go to our website at aftdispatch.com. And until next week, guys, stay healthy, be wealthy. Bye-bye.